Hi, you are watching SightsIn and this is Bhumesh. Please to subscribe the channel for the HR news, for HR updates, and conversation with the top-notch CHROs, thought leaders, and business heads. Today, we are going to analyze the first quarter results of top IT companies. Earlier, we have also done the Q1 result analysis for the TCS and HCLTech, and today we will try to cover the more companies. Recently, the Infosys has announced its first quarter result. Wipro has announced its first quarter results. LTIMindtree, Tech Mahindra, Capgemini, and Cognizant, they have announced their quarterly results. If you look at the numbers, these are very mixed kind of the numbers. And joining us for the discussion, Mr. Milind Mutalik, he is a former Chief People Officer at Accolite Digital. Milind, if I share with you the numbers, the headcount, so that is very, some companies are adding some employees and some companies you see the drop in headcounts. If you look at the TCS, we have seen the addition of around 5,452 people in the first quarter. And if you, on the other hand, if you see the Infosys, so there is a drop in headcount, it is around 1,908 people. And with the Wipro, if you see, there's addition of 337 employees. And with the HCLTech, there's a drop of 8,000 people around. With the Tech Mahindra, we have seen also the addition of number, that is around 2,165. And with the LTIMindtree, again, there's a drop of 800 people. If you look other global companies, so Capgemini, we have seen the drop of 300 people in this quarter. According to them, there's a second quarter. How do you see the headcount on the basis of headcount for the first quarter and second quarter results? What is your analysis?
Somesh, first of all, thanks once again for this interaction and the opportunity to, come prepared to talk to you. Okay. All right. Coming to a headcount question. According to me, each one has their own story. Example, as we have said last time, the HCL reduction was based on one of the activity which has happened where divestment has happened and they have reduced the 8,000 employees. And as I made a mention, it has an impact on the revenue of theirs also. Okay. One important thing which all these organizations are driving is efficiency. And based on which stage of the life cycle of efficiency they are, either there is an increase or decrease. A point which I would say which would be an outcome of the headcount, okay, a productive headcount is a utilization ratio. Okay. And if you look at majority of these companies are somewhere in the range of 84% going up to 86, 87%. Okay. Just 2 or 3% of difference between the best of them and maybe not so great, okay, in the utilization. So what it shows is everybody is focusing and ensuring that they have a better utilization of the employees. And that being a reason, there could be a reasons or specific reasons for each of the organization for either reduction or addition. Example, TCS, we have seen last time. TCS addition is because also there is a top line growth for TCS during that period. Okay. Wipro, in fact, has their own story. However, if you go into the numbers and, or rather the revenues versus the employee headcount which people have, I see it's now coming to a stabilizing stage where they are kind of going stable when it comes to revenue versus the employee count goes. And that's the precise reason, jumping the guns, that there is a hiring plan also which has been talked by many organizations. So be it Tech Mahindra, okay, be it TCS, Infosys, okay, Wipro for that matter, have said one way or the other about hiring during this year. Okay. So the perspective I'm trying to add is there's definitely going to be this year, 24 as a calendar year for many of the companies which keep December ending, or 24-25 FY for April to March kind of a, financial year organizations. There is definitely going to be increase in the manpower as far as the trend which I am able to read. Two issues. One, their own stories, and two, efficiency is driven. Three, utilization ratio seems to be in line and not going haywire in a big way. Yes.
So you rightly said they are getting stabilized somehow. If you look at the attrition numbers, so these are quite good numbers. So TCS that reported 12.1% for the first quarter, Infosys 12.7%, Wipro 14.1%, HCLTech 12.8%, Tech Mahindra, that is the lowest attrition, I think 10.1%. LTIMindtree, maybe in India that may be highest, 14.4%. If you look at other global companies, so 15.2%, Capgemini and the Cognizant, that is a 13.6%. So highest the attrition what we see in IT companies, that is 15.20% with the Capgemini, and 15 is also a good number, not a bad number as far as the attrition is concerned. What is your comment on this?
I think yes, attrition is stabilizing. Uh, as I see, there's a transformation which I was talking for last 2 quarters. We are waiting for the transformations to happen. We are seeing, so attrition cannot be seen in isolation. Attrition would be seen based on what are your plans on the top line. Okay, what kind of a things you would like to do. As I made a mention, few organizations. Obviously, I don't have a split at this point of time, a regional split for Cognizant and Capgemini. But if you look at the regional split for the organization, those who are depending on US, okay, typically when I talk about Wipro, they have about 62.5 or 63% of their chunk of regional revenue coming out of America 1, America 2. Again, when I say we have typically this time talking about LTIMindtree also. LTIMindtree revenue share of North America is 73%, 73.1 precisely. Okay. The other likes of Infosys has 58.9%. Okay. Wherever there's a growth or reduction, one thing I am trying to find out is, or trying to see as a trend, is there's a stabilization there. The movement is not much from last quarter to this quarter. So if I look at the regional revenue changes for Infosys, it is 0.7% reduction. America regional revenue. If you look at Tech Mahindra, it is increased. Okay. If I look at Wipro, typically it is at the same level. It's not reduced. For Capgemini, it has increased. Now, why I'm trying to say this, all this is going to have a direct connection with the attrition on how the movement is happening, either on one of the business front verticals or any of the regions where the revenue is coming from. And again, as I have been telling or making a point that majority out of these companies are depending on one, US as a region, and two, financial services, BFSI, as a major content or component of their revenue. Okay, so the change there, these two changes you would find the impact, and I'm of the opinion I am seeing the positive change there with TCS talking about it and rest of the organization talking about their hiring plan.
Absolutely, there's a
Yeah, and
growth in revenue part. I have written data about the net profit, not the revenue exactly, but the net profit we have. Though the TCS shown a little drop in net profit, but even the revenue is good. Infosys, there is also little drop in net profits, but other companies, maybe HCLTech, maybe Wipro, maybe Tech Mahindra, LTIMindtree, everywhere you see, there's a rise in net profit as well. So,
yeah,
on the basis of this, how do you see the growth in coming
okay.
quarters?
See, one of the thing I was trying to map for these 4 5 companies, what were their quarter four revenue or for the full year revenue of 24, 23, 24. So if I look at Tech Mahindra did 6.27 billion last year. And the first quarter, they are talking about 1.55 billion. If I just multiply it by 4, they are able to achieve their target of last year. Okay. So they're equivalent. And always it has been said by many of the analysts and the organizations that first quarter is always a low quarter, not the high quarter. Okay. And that being the reason, my I would say optimistic trend which I see, it's going to be more than last year. That's the major aspect which I'm saying. The second, Infosys, 17.7 billion last year, 4.7 has been done, and they have been talking about in a guidelines 3 to 4% increase on their revenue of the last year. Okay. Now 3 to 4% on 17 billion is a good number to look at. Wipro 10.88 billion. This time they have done 2.63 billion. Again, their next quarter revenue estimation is between 2.6 to 2.65. So it's a constant 2 quarters would able to very easily give 10 billion. LTIMindtree 1.1 billion this time. They have last year closed at 4.2 billion. So one very important thing is everybody is in line of achieving their revenue. Okay. And if I look at this as not so great quarter, but the quarters coming in has more hope, then I'm sure that the growth is going to be much higher. And that being a reason, two aspects. One is hiring is going to increase and the attrition may have some impact.
So I think you look very candid about that this fiscal year is going to be better than the previous fiscal year. And
Absolutely.
and as far as the campus hiring concerned, the companies have announced some numbers. Maybe TCS, they announced around 40,000 freshers. They will do the hiring for the freshers. And Infosys, they have also announced around 12 to 15,000 people they will hire from the campus. HCLTech has announced 10 to 12,000 people. Wipro has announced 10 to 12,000 people. Tech Mahindra has announced around 6,000 people they will hire from the campuses in this fiscal year. And LTIMindtree, I don't have data, but maybe around 4,000, 5,000, that may be also as well. So total number of freshers, if you look at to the campus hiring, maybe we can go beyond 1 lakh to 1,20,000, 25,000 somewhere. How do you see the campus hiring in financial year 2025?
So I definitely see campus hiring this year is going to be much higher. Now we are just analyzing, I would say, the major organizations which are being listed here. But I want to, kind of bring in a point saying that there are organizations which are actually having a base in India. They are, organizations from US and other countries as a headquarters, but they have a bigger number of employees here. Just to name few, Accenture, IBM, Microsoft, Google, okay, all these have the offices in India and good number of manpower. So about 7 lakhs odd Accenture has in India. Okay. The similar way IBM has a good chunk. And Morgan's this thing MS Microsoft has a bigger chunk here. Okay. So I think if you look at the traction from all these people on a campus hiring, along with this top 8, 10 IT companies which you are looking at, my estimation goes to crossing 3 lakh mark very easily. Okay. Because the total which we have seen here is coming to about 80,000 to lakh number. All right. So this is my estimation, and also it's optimistic estimation to go up to 4 lakhs. Now here one more part I want to add. Okay, some of the news which I'm reading, team leads which has declared earlier that last year GCC had 4 lakh jobs and 12 to 15% have come from campus. Now along with this, if you add GCCs and the organizations like I've just counted on Accenture and others of the world, I'm sure this time it's going to be definitely a much better campus. Yeah. So I think we need to be very hopeful because see, if you look at Wipro's statement, they said, 10 to CHRO Wipro said that 10 to 12 addition off campus and lateral. Okay. So there would be a chunk even which will be taken from the off campus. So people who have missed the boat maybe in 24 can get a chance in 25 or 23, they will get the chance in 24, calendar year. That's what my feeling is.
So absolutely, that's a good news that this will be 3 lakh plus campus hiring after the freeze of if total fiscal year. So I think that is a good start. So
very good start.
Now
and
coming to
second point. No, before we end, one more point I want to add. We have not, and that's what I was making a point earlier saying I've been talking candid. Just imagine the replacement of the attrition. If I take a count of 10% at the industry level, not even 15, 13, whatever, 10%, then on this count, which is coming up to very clearly 1,47,000 of Tech Mahindra, 3,15,000 of Infosys, 234 of Wipro, 82,000 of this one, LTIMindtree plus HCL and plus TCS. If it's going to about 18, 20 lakhs, 10% of it is also going to be lateral movements or a new addition which will come in.
That's
Even if I
great.
guess
So I think
5%, it's going to be a lakh of people.
lateral hiring is also picking up. That's not going to pick up. It is already picking up with the industries.
Yes,
Maybe
yes.
there are little positions, maybe not at that scale, but yeah, positions are there. Companies are hiring. How do you see in the coming quarters how this lateral hiring is going to speed up?
Will definitely speed up, and as rightly pointed out, there is a focus on the emerging technologies. And in the emerging technologies, I was recently talking to one of the uh, campus person who is looking after the campus placements from their institutes. He said that there are two kind of approaches which have been taken by the industry. One, some of the industries are hiring people who are already trained onto emerging technologies, which is data sciences, AI, ML, cloud computing, IoT, and such other things. Okay. And this comes in from institutes which are really more resourceful, and they're able to train their students onto that. But at the same time, there's another kind of approach where students with the potential, right, ability, aptitude, and others, they have been, and then they have been trained into niches which are coming in where the campus hiring is happening. Coming to lateral, I feel many organizations are training the laterals. Okay. And if I look at the number somewhere again, when I was reading, it's more than 7 lakh. So 0.7 million is something which is trained by top 4 or 5 IT companies in MBAs, onto the advanced or emerging technologies. So I think lateral hiring scenario is definitely going to pick up in next 2, 3 quarters. And I'm sure when there's a growth coming in, you'll find the change happening even in lateral hiring, along with the campus going as a constant thing.
So I think you rightly pointed out about the emerging technologies. So if you trust on certain reports, one report was done by the PTI, and it was done after the Q4 results that TCS has trained around 3,50,000 employees on generative AI, and similarly you can say the 50% of workforce they are getting trained on this generative AI and other technologies, blockchain, cloud, and cyber security. So based on this, how do you see the future of jobs in IT industry for the coming quarters?
Well, again, as I said, all this aspect expects, and this is, I think, one of the NASCOM reports which talks about the expected job creation is about 1 million in AI market itself. Okay. And the revenue is, about few billion by 2025, they are saying. There's another report which talks about there's going to be a huge number churn which will happen in this 4 new technologies, and 4 new preferred by GCCs, preferred by IT products company, preferred by IT services companies, and BPM are, typically AI, ML, data sciences, cloud computing, and the cyber security. So if you look at, these are some things which are becoming a preferable technologies. And as I said, as per the NASCOM Aon report, it says 1 million job within next 3 years, and majority of it are going to be revenue generating job, and seems to be it's going to definitely add a big number in terms of revenue. So I'm sure again we are sitting at the stage where you would find the change happening, and the whole focus onto the technology is going to change to the emerging technology in coming years, because it is from the time of proof of concept to now implementation, the stages have changed in many organizations. Those who are providing the services, likes of TCS, likes of Infosys, and it's showing the churn for them, it's showing the revenues for them. Okay, and that being a reason, I'm sure it's not going to be now just waiting into the classroom, but it's going to be application and delivery of a solution which will happen to the client.
Now we have also seen in couple of quarters the rising trend of gig economy in the IT industry. And I think IT and ITs are on the top of this when we are
Yes.
talking about the gig economy. How do you see this rising trend in IT industry for the coming quarters?
See, definitely India has started accepting the so-called gig workers. Okay. And the many of the jobs when you're having a laterals gap, because today India cycle of hiring, which by the time you put in the requisition to person coming on board, there's a lot of lead time depending on the notice periods of various organizations in IT. Some of them are 90 days, some of them are 60 days, and that is the time. And by the time you identify the right resource, try to do your risk coverage of more than one offers and all this stuff, it's a cycle of 60 to 90 days. And this is the period when the gig workers very easily come in and deliver what is wanted to you. And as per again some of the reports, 40% firms are preferring that they are able to get this kind of resources and they are able to work on. Okay. And one of the thing which I am finding, which is little related, is the contract working, or for that matter, subcontracting, which used to be 6 to 13% with the IT organization, they're trying to reduce it. I think that will also be one more opportunity for the gigs to come in. Okay, gigs are generally being called in as a individuals who are available on the platforms, and many platforms are generated in India for the gig workers. Now, this I'm talking completely of a knowledge economy, and I'm not talking about gig in terms of rest of the so-called supply chain and other areas. Okay, and one of the thing which TCS refers its gig as employee as a talent cloud. I've read somewhere they are, mentioning a gig worker as a talent cloud. Virtual talent pool available across the locations to meet clients' demand and project needs. So, from again a stage of concept to acceptance, it is very much happening in the industry, and I feel the numbers will go up, and it will be, easily kind of acceptable term. And it says now again some reports which I'm reading, which says tech gig economy grows in India to 23.5 million by 2030. Now 2030 is a little far, I would say 5 years down the line, but we are already able to see the traction when it comes to the IT organizations. And I would say even the dollar rates, right from going from $15 going up to for one of the architects, there are kind of reports where said even $400 kind of a rate could also be charged. So I think yes, the changes are happening, and I'm certain that there is going to be a practical need in 2024 of our gig workers in a knowledge area in technology, because there are many who are available to do this gig work. As a Indian society, we have started accepting it, and as a organizations which are doing IT services, BPM, IT products have started accepting the gig workers. So I think it's clear path. The way I said, hiring campus, other with that, this vertical also will grow this year. Is again one more my thought based on some of the reading which I do or the reports I've seen.
Right, absolutely. That is on a rising trend. Another important point is we have seen also the order booking, what the generally companies have done the order booking. So generative AI, yeah, that is, I think, all the companies they have done the order booking for the generative AI. If you look at the TCS, they have also done some major project that is for the BSNL. And if you look other companies, so based on this, how do you see that what the skills are going to be in demand in coming quarters?
I'll just tell you one more point. When I was talking to someone from the campus side, they've seen that some of the organizations today have started doing the hiring based on the skills which they required. For example, few organizations are training people right from the second year of their campuses on a cyber security on an embedded technology, on the engineering technology. And post that, the journey goes in like this. In the third year of theirs, they're being hired for the internships of 6 months. So from a theory to a practice of real world, and then they are being absorbed from the day one. So I think this is how there's a lot of, I would say, they are being able to do a back-end integration to see that they are able to get the ready-made resources. And the technologies which are going to be focused typically, one of the surveys or one of the research which are showing data sciences, is a first preference for GCC, whereas it is a second, preference for IT product company. First preference again, data sciences for the IT services companies and for BPM. Okay. Again, AI/ML is first and second preferences for all these organizations. Yeah. Because unless they have a right data, they are not able to get into a lot of, work onto AI and ML. The third one comes in as a cloud computing. And here there's a lot of focus given out of the top three or four list, cloud computing comes in for everyone, for IT products, for the BPMs, as well as the GCCs. It is coming as a one of the top of the four or five which they want to have. However, for GCC, cybersecurity comes in as third. For others, it is not so much, or the fourth or fifth it is coming. But if I read out some eight which are being listed out in the order of preferences, data sciences, AI/ML, cloud computing, cybersecurity are coming as top four, five. Internet of Things is also IoT is one more very important. Then comes in UX UI, full stack developers, and the last one comes in eighth one is VR and AR. Okay, augmented reality and virtual reality as one more thing. So these are the eight on the top of the stack where there are going to be many jobs, okay, which would be generated in 24 and 25.
Right. And I think we have been trying to cover, we have first analyzed the data of the first quarter results, then what is going to be the future of jobs at Kabul in coming quarters, then what are going to be the hiring trend for the lateral hire and campus hire. Anything else which is important and we did not
Yeah,
touch here?
one important thing is now what is going to be the focus of the organization is typically upskilling or reskilling the employees. And this would happen both the ways. Because many a times this upskilling is very important from the point of view of your revenue lineup. If you really want to get a good revenue, you need to upskill your people because these are all emerging technologies. And that being the reason, going into the process of your own skill library as to what do you have really with you, what do you want to add. And this is a cycle where you need to train them, deploy them, have a mentorship, some hand holding there to see that they are able to really achieve their goals. And that's how they are going to get confidence. So I think that cycle has become very critical activity in the organization, upskilling, reskilling the resources to see that they are able to, kind of progress along with what is required to the clients. Yeah. So upskilling, reskilling is one more very important point I would say is to be looked into as one of the activity which will happen in a big way.
That is very insightful conversation, and thank you for joining us for the this Q1 result analysis and your insights on the future of the jobs in coming quarters. Thank you so much, Milind, again for
My
joining
pleasure.
us.
Thank you. Thank you very much.